Hi everybody, in today's exercise we'll be bringing our sketches to life with watercolor, and for that we will need paper, pencil, eraser, sharpener, watercolor, brushes, water, something to mix the paint, and a cloth, okay? We will be using the same technique, the same drawings actually that we used the last time, only that this time we will be filling them in with beautiful washes of color. So let's start. So the first one that we are going to be doing is the leaf, just for the sake of practice, because once you get confident with this one, it's going to be easier for you to do all the others because we're going to be doing the same thing. By the way, I'm using a oil painting paper. It's not a watercolor paper, so it's going to grant a different texture because the paper will respond differently to the watercolor, so it's going to give a very interesting texture. So the first thing to do is to mark where the leaves are going to be. So you can use a ruler for that, but it's totally unnecessary, okay? Only if you are not confident enough to make it freehand. So we are going to use just one color for that. It's going to be just this one, and that's it, okay? So we don't need to prep the paper, okay? We're going to apply the paint directly on paper. Just going to need some washes of color here, and we start, okay? First we have the stem. It's good if you are not shaky. Just do it as naturally as possible, okay? Because the uneven texture will come naturally. You don't have to force it, but make sure that the paint is going to be evenly distributed, okay? And from there you can start. So as previously mentioned, the basics of this style is that you fill all the given space with your subject without overlapping the shapes, okay? So all the canvas is going to be filled with the subject, and this gives this very interesting visual. A little detail that you have got to notice is the point of the leaves that touches the stem has got to be very delicate, okay? So you start with a very, thin touching point, okay? As you can see, I'm not making any effort to give the texture. The texture that you see here is accomplished by simply adding the watercolor to the paper. I think that the texture is absolutely rich. There's a beauty on that. And after the paint is totally dry, you can erase the marks. So that's it. This is our first painting. So we are going to use the same technique for everything that we're going to be doing from now on, okay? So let's start with a single flower, okay? So I'm marking where the flower and where the leaves are going to be because it's easier. I have the original sketch right in front of me, so I have a notion of the proportions and everything. So once the sketch is done with the pencil, I can start painting the flower. So I always start with the outlines and then I fill it in because it's easier. Yellow is not my favorite color, but I like how bright it is and how much it brightens everything. So I think that it gives a very nice visual impact. As you can see, for the leaves, I'm doing the same thing that I did in the previous one, okay? They are kind of thick leaves, but the point that touches the stem, is very thin. So this grants some kind of balance. So what we are trying to do here is to make the composition take over all the given space. So it's going to fill in, like it was growing, but got restrained by the borders, okay? So just make sure that the outlines are sharp and you can add some details, you can redo the outlines, and that's it. Now we are going to do the same thing with a composition with two flowers. I didn't mark the petals with the pencil because now I'm confident enough just to mark the outlines where the flower is going to be. So I use the brush to mark where the petals are going to be divided, and I just fill them in. Once you are confident enough, you don't have to do the outlines for everything. You see what I'm doing here? I know where the petals should end because they are marked with pencil, and then I just divide the petals with the brush. So all that is left to do is give them, some body. I like this red, but I think that the yellow works better. Now let's give some pops of yellow here. So as you can see, I'm trying to make something different, some kind of texture, but you can just fill it in, okay? I like to try out things while I'm painting just to see how they go. Once again, it's the same technique that we used in the previous drawings. And so far, we are using just 3 colors for this composition. It's one hue of red, one hue of yellow, and this olive green. And something that you can do to add more interest, you mix a little bit of the red to the leaves. It's something that you won't notice, but you will see it, okay? It makes a difference. Okay, so now let's go to the composition with 3 flowers. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the sketch that we did last week. And we're going to do the same sketch in here. And we are going to go back to yellow because I think yellow works better. I'm using the same green for all the compositions, okay? I added some more layers of the yellow so it gets a little bit richer as it gets to the center. So now let's move on to our full flowers composition. I like going from the border towards the center because it's easier for you to have control. See, I mark where the petals are going to be and then I bring the brush. It's good to use this kind of brush because this particular tip of the brush helps you achieving this kind of effect here. By the way, it's a watercolor brush. It's very soft, so it's not the same that you will use with acrylics or oil. It's very soft. Here is our composition. And now we are going to go crazy. with a whole bunch of flowers. And the first thing I do, I mark the center, and once again, can you see how easy it is to make the flower with this brush? We start from the edge and then we brush all the way to the center just by releasing pressure. All you have to do is just the same thing over and over and over and over until you finish all the flowers. And once I did that, I added some little red dots to the center. Just, once again, I like trying different things. Now time to paint the vase, now a little bit of the stems, and from there we are going to be painting the leaves. So for this composition we used 4 colors. We used the green, the yellow, some dots of that pinkish red, and a little brown for the vase. But the vase could be of any color. For instance, if you are going to place this in a room that needs some blue, you make the vase blue. Or if you are doing this in a room that needs some green, you already have the green of the leaves, so you can leave this neutral. And these are the results. Once again, keep on practicing and thank you for joining us.